So LSU is out of conference on Saturday. Western Kentucky comes in. I have a lot of thoughts on that in the big picture. Like, LSU's not playing for anything this year. They're playing for pride, maybe a bowl game, who knows. And that's not out of the ordinary. There are plenty of LSU teams that have played themselves out of their preseason goals by Thanksgiving. Like, that's not completely uncommon. But what you generally had 5 years ago was, well, we're building for next year. Like, what do we see? You hear former players all the time. Hester and Flynn will absolutely tell you. Brandon Taylor will absolutely tell you that how you finish a season impacts the next one. And that was certainly true in their day. Man, if you got a backup quarterback that was playing against Western Kentucky in November, like, that might be your guy next year. And Michael Van Buren might be LSU's guy next year. Like, he might be. There's a realistic chance of that. There's a realistic chance he plays for Florida next year. Like, and I'm not speaking directly about him. I'm talking about him, the left guard, the defensive tackle, the strong safety, the wide receiver, like, everybody. So, like, you don't have that angle that you had 10 years ago of, like, let's focus on some of these young guys that are really going to be pillars. Because they might be, they might not. So you kind of take that intrigue away, and you don't have anything in terms of your next season to be pulling for because you've got a new coaching staff coming in, and who knows what that looks like. It's not a game that, to me, carries a ton of weight outside of a little bit of entertainment, and I kind of think there's going to be some entertainment value in this game. You're going to hear me in 30 minutes talk about the college football playoff and the group of 5, group of 6 representative in the college football playoff. And I'm going to be rather dismissive of that, as you're probably well aware. The college football playoff and one game on a Saturday night are two different things. And so while I would not welcome Western Kentucky in the college football playoff, they are potentially a fun team to watch on Saturday night. This is a team with a first-year head coach that, for its level of play, is playing well. Now, that's a big deal. You have heard me in week 2 talk about LSU and their FCS opponents, Nichols, Northwestern, Grambling, Southern, whoever, McNeese. I just completely dismiss the entire week because the SEC versus the FCS is a joke. It's not even a weight class thing. It's just they play by completely different rules, literally. It's a different sport. LSU and Western Kentucky is just a different weight class. It's a different weight class. And Western Kentucky in their weight class, good football team. This team is 8-2. This team has won 6 of their last 7. They're in position to play for a conference championship, and they've got a real identity in what they want to do. And for an LSU fan that just loves watching the Tigers and like, I don't even know what we're getting into on Saturday. Well, I'll tell you what you're getting into on Saturday. It's a pretty good matchup for LSU, but it's a Western Kentucky team that can function. They are 11th in the country in passing offense. They throw for 296 yards a game. They are 8th in the country in passing attempts. That tells you they're spreading it out. They're throwing it. They're 17th in completion percentage. They're 25th in the country in passing touchdowns with 21. Now, they've had a bit of a change. Their starting quarterback, Maverick McIver, injured his shoulder in October, and he hasn't played in a month. And they brought in Rodney Tisdale to be the quarterback. He's their backup. And like last week, he threw for 371 yards and 3 touchdowns. So this is a team that wants to spread the field and throw it quickly. And I think that's a great matchup for LSU. Now, I'm hopeful, going back to an early point, that DJ Pickett and PJ Woodland are on this team next year. I think that duo forms a really nice base for your secondary. I hope the next LSU coach keeps Corey Raymond, and I hope that keeping Corey Raymond around is good enough to keep DJ Pickett and PJ Woodland here. We know that Ashton Stamps has redshirted this year, is not expected to play in the last 2 games. Stands to reason he wouldn't be back. I don't know that. Stands to reason. If you're going to redshirt, the coaching staff's going to make a decision in September that you're not going to play again. That feels like a guy who's on his way out. I don't have high hopes for a couple of the redshirt freshmen on LSU's roster, but at the top of the cornerback depth chart, beyond Mansour Delane, who was mocked in the first round by ESPN.com today, DJ Pickett and PJ Woodland are going to be a piece to this puzzle next year if all goes right. And I like this opportunity for them to go out there and cover and tackle. They should be impact players in this game. No question about it. They should have pass breakups. They should get their hands on a football. They should make some tackles. This is a game they're going to be active, and that's something I'll be looking at in this game. It's not a West Kentucky team that runs the ball really at all. They're 107th in the country in rushing attempts. They're 92nd in the country in rushing offense. They want to take the football and throw it. And one of the things that did stand out to me, and it matters in terms of the volume of their attempts, but you see a lot of teams that run the air raid that don't hit a lot of big plays. Mike Leach's offense didn't hit a ton of big plays. They ran the ball, and I use air quotes there, with that passing game methodically down the field. Western Kentucky has created explosives. They're 4th in the country in 20-yard pass plays. Again, there's an element of it that is in the amount of passes you throw. You've got a better chance to break one for 20 yards. But 4th in the country in big pass plays is impressive for Western Kentucky. And the other piece that they've done very well is their red zone touchdown percentage is 17th in the country. That's very good for a team that throws it a lot, because when the field shrinks, it gets harder to throw it. We know that from LSU, having terrible red zone offenses the last couple of years. This is a team that has been good in the red zone. Speaking of good in the red zone, we flip over to Western Kentucky's defense, and they're very good in the red zone as well. 4th in the country in red zone touchdown percentage allowed. That's excellent. None of their other defensive metrics are all that good. Like, their run defense is 110th in the country. That's awful. Total defense, 97th. That's awful. Yards per carry allowed, they're 128th. That's about as bad as you can do. And while I've pushed back and had conflicting thoughts on whether or not LSU could run at Ole Miss, whether or not LSU could run the ball at Alabama, LSU has not really run the ball. Against Western Kentucky, you should probably be able to run the ball. I think against Western Kentucky, you should be able to push forward and run it. I can have my doubts about Alabama. I can have my doubts about Ole Miss. Against Western Kentucky, sure. Lean forward and run the ball. They've covered okay, Western Kentucky has. They're 8th in the country in completion percentage around, and they're allowed, and they're 9th in the country in passing touchdowns allowed. They've only allowed 8. So this is a good Conference USA football team that LSU is going to play on Saturday. And I feel like I have a little bit of credibility in saying that, because you're going to hear the coaches say, oh, it's a really good team. You're going to hear the players say, oh, they're a really good team. And you'll hear some media folks that try to pump sunshine here and there. I'm not here for that. I tell you, in week 2, when they play these FCS teams, this is a waste of everyone's time. And while I expect LSU to win the game comfortably on Saturday, there are some aspects that Western Kentucky does well for them, and that I'm curious to see LSU play against one time. There's not a lot of juice to what LSU's trying to squeeze out of these last 2 weeks. You want to play spoiler in Norman? Sure. You want to tell me for sure that Michael Van Buren is the quarterback next year? I'll try to get on board with that. But we just don't know that. So there's just so little, I think, to cling to when you play these games. Look, I love these games personally. For A&M to step out of conference this week, I would love that if I was an A&M fan. No stress, no drama. We're undefeated. If we need to get our starters out in the second half, get them out. Somebody's banged up, don't play them. When I'm trying to win a championship, I can get on board with these games as a breather before it gets real. I can get on board with that. For this LSU team, in this spot, there's just not a lot there other than it's senior night. Give those guys a big round of applause. It's your last chance to go out there and tailgate, your last Saturday night in Death Valley. It's not 105 degrees. All the ancillary stuff is really all there is on Saturday night for LSU and Western Kentucky. I can try to sell it to you. They throw it a little bit. They're a good, group of 6 program. I looked up how many guys they've had drafted. They've had a third-round pick in the last 4 NFL drafts. Had a cornerback last year in the 3rd round, had a wideout the year before that in the 3rd round, had a defensive tackle the year before that in the 3rd round, then had a linebacker in the 3rd round, and then Bailey Zappi went in the 4th round, who set a bunch of records at Western Kentucky. And so they put somebody in the draft every year. They've won a lot of games as a program. Still not a completely level playing field here. You're talking about 2 different weight classes. But that's a look at LSU and Western Kentucky on Saturday. That's on the field. That's stuff to look for. How much that gets you all riled up, I guess that's to be determined, and depends on how you feel about it. But it'll be another Saturday night in Death Valley for LSU against Western Kentucky. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.